Bias is a concept well documented in psychological studies, which is basically that people associate negative things with people of color and positive things with whites. So if that is true, given that that is true, how does white privilege not exist?
Okay, so you're asking about unconscious bias. I apologize because it's kind of echoey, but the question was, if there is unconscious bias, just to repeat it so I'm making sure I get it right, if there is unconscious bias, how does white privilege not exist?
The question is, given that there is unconscious bias, how does white privilege not exist?
So number one, so when I speak about white privilege, yes, so when I speak about white privilege, I'm speaking specifically about behavior. Okay, there have been no studies, and really I've looked at these studies, the connection between what they call implicit bias, this is their favorite phrase now, implicit bias, unconscious bias, and biased behavior has yet to be proven at any level that is even remotely necessary to be used in, for example, a courtroom, which is why it's never been used in a courtroom. It is also true that there is no way, there really isn't, there's been no proven way to alleviate what they call unconscious bias, which means that we're ghost hunting. So what I would suggest is that if there is unconscious bias, and I'll acknowledge the possibility or the reality of unconscious bias, if there is, then I need you to I don't care about what's in people's heads so much as what they do. So if you point me to a racist behavior, don't worry, I'll let you respond. If you point me to a racist behavior, I'm happy to stand alongside you and protest it. What I can't do is protest about things in people's head that I don't know about because I'm not a mind reader.
Okay, so that's a really interesting response, and to that I have two questions. Firstly, what I've heard you say that this is something that, the way people think doesn't affect their behavior. So that's the first thing you've said. So I'm really curious if you can kind of give me another example of a thought that somebody has which doesn't affect their behavior. Like, do people who, support Trump not vote for him? Like, I'm very curious about that.
Yes.
And secondly, so the second thing that I want to ask is that if it's something it's hard to fix, does it mean we shouldn't do anything about it? Because you said, I don't know if we can change how people think. Does that mean we shouldn't try?
I mean, first of all, not a great impression. But beyond that,
got him!
My voice isn't that low. But beyond that, as far as the first question, which is, do people have thoughts that don't manifest in behavior? Yes, all the time.
For instance?
For instance, every thought that you have about walking up here and strangling me right now. I assume like we have thoughts all the time that don't manifest in behavior, and this is true every single day. We consider thoughts that cross our minds. And the problem with unconscious bias is the idea is you don't even know that you're having the thought, right? So how can you stop it if you don't even know that you're having it? But then we should be able to gauge the unconscious bias and its impact on behavior. That's why it's unconscious bias as opposed to conscious bias. The idea behind unconscious bias is that it's not even a ghost, it's a ghost of a ghost, because you don't even know you're having the thought. So people, the whole idea behind diversity training is the idea that you can retrain people to stop their chain of thought in order so that it doesn't manifest in behavior. I don't think that every thought manifests in behavior. If it did, then every time a man saw a good-looking woman walk down the street, a straight man saw a good-looking woman down the street, we'd have a real mess on our hands. So the second question, the idea was a little too broad for me to respond to, which is, just because something is tough, don't we have to face up to it? Yes, we have to face up to tough things all the time. And one of the tough things I would suggest that we face up to is that you have a lot more control over your own behavior and the decisions you make than the supposedly widespread unconscious bias of people you've never met.
You guys should hit a fucking wall. What are you gonna do?
Bitch, I'm not gonna hit you. 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 I'm ready. I'm not gonna fucking hit you. I'm gonna be in your face till you die. I'm gonna be in your face till you die. Till you die. Till you fucking die. You fucking whore. I'm gonna be in your face till you die, bitch! Till you die, bitch! I'm gonna be here till you die, bitch! Till you die! Till you fucking die! Punch me, bitch! Punch me, bitch! Punch me! Punch me! Punch me! Punch me! Punch me, bitch!
Hey! separate ways. Go your separate ways.
Get the fuck, go,
Hey!
go fucking
Go your separate ways. Everybody calm down. Thank you.
I think it begins when the brain, when there's like an electrical impulse to the brain.
What about a heartbeat?
No. I think when the heartbeat sends the electrical impulse to the brain.
The heartbeat is not life.
Not in my opinion.
As long as it's still a fetus.
But when does it stop being a fetus?
When it's born.
When does life begin?
It begins when a woman decides she's gonna go for it, because her life is on the line doing it.
What about a heartbeat?
If the woman wasn't there, the pregnancy wouldn't be there. And if the woman's gone, you don't got no pregnancy, right?
And without the man, you wouldn't have a pregnancy either.
I know, you guys should limit your sperm production.
In the variations of a market economy,
but Mark,
2%
you and
is
your
nothing
statistics,
compared to 200%.
You're narrowing it to university graduates there in order to get a statistic which is not borne out by the greater society.
Yeah, but in your statistics, they're women who are choosing to work fewer hours, Andrew. You're just playing wrong.
I don't think that's always the case.
We need to go back over this statistical analysis again. Do you want?
Aside from the statistics, let's...
Wow, a feminist that doesn't like to use statistics. Who could have seen that coming?
So let's look at the notion that women over the past 40 years, we are better educated, which means we have more financial freedom. We don't need a man like we may have needed a couple of decades ago. Do you think there's any truth to the argument that perhaps men feel sort of threatened because they no longer have that power or do you think there's any...
No, I think the average man's doing quite fine. They ignore most of the left feminist claptrap. They ignore people like Van.
Gotcha, bitch!
Who are a very, very minority interest in our society. She's a self-declared anarchist, way on the extreme left of politics, representing perhaps 0.001% of thought in Australia. So she's safely ignored. The real issue for men is, can they keep up in the education system? At the moment, among university graduates leaving every year, 40% are male, 60% are female, a massive advance for women in this country. And when you look at the bottom of society, when you get away from Van's debate about women like her, because left feminism is essentially selfish.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
Can I speak, Andrew, without you being a participant? Are you a participant in this show or a host? Are you a professional host or a participant?
I'm trying to get to the bottom of the issue, but you try and insult the other guest.
Are you the host of this program, professional and cool? You should declare what you're doing at the beginning of the segment. You should declare your interest at the beginning of the segment. Because I can tell you the viewers had a gutful of you having a bet each way.
Why don't we try and keep away from personal attacks?
Can I defend myself, please?
Shut the fuck up, you'll speak when fucking spoken to. XDDDDD.
Self, please, or is a man going to speak over me?
Oh, you're trying to speak over us.
Yes, you are speaking over me, Mark.
Here we go.
Feminism is cancer and I'm triggered.
Now, I've known you for 20 years.
No, you haven't.
I'm a stupid cunt.
I met you when I was an undergraduate at the University of Wollongong.
well,
you know for a fact I'm from a working
say.
class family from the suburbs of Sydney, and I
No,
write
you
about that
didn't. You're
in
a
my
product of
work
the
all
club
the time.
industry.
You have to deal with the fact, Mark, that your position is the extremist one. I'm from the suburbs. I'm state school. I'm University of Wollongong, and I'm a feminist commentator who's
You're an
pointed out
anarchist.
the fact that women are discriminated against in this society. Let's talk about those trains and the need for safe carriages.
Van, can you just give us a moment?
On a train when you were a teenager? Because I was.
Excuse me, Van. I mean this with respect to all of you, but I think
Feminism is cancer.
at this stage.
I called the train about 20 years ago. The practicality on the 11:30
Mark,
train.
good on you with your personal
Sydney.
attacks. Good on you, mate. Good to see you sticking to the topic again.
Well, I am sticking to the topic. It just shows how little you know about the practicalities of life in the suburbs, because the idea that
I
you're
don't live in a suburb. I live in a cloud.
No, you live in cloud cuckoo land, absolutely. So look, the point is that if you're on the 11:30 train out of the city and there's a women's only carriage and you're a bad bloke who wants to do damage, well, you go straight in.
Hi, I'm Connie Britton, and after years of being asked about my healthy, shiny hair, I am thrilled to share my beauty secret with you. It's feminism. When used regularly, feminism has been known to produce amazing results, such as a woman's right to vote, a woman's right to her own body, a woman's right to become a kick-ass athlete, the Violence Against Women Act, the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Restoration Act, and more. Feminism is meant to be used on a daily basis and works best when shared.
But what if I don't need feminism?
Trust me, girl, you do.
Side effects.
Shut the fuck up. I will fucking laser you with alien fucking eyes and explode your fucking head.